All right. So, kind of moving on, what is some of your thoughts, Zach, about what we're seeing in crypto? In fact, let me refresh the screen right now and see kind of where we're at. Okay, we've given back a little bit. What's kind of your thoughts on what we're seeing and what we're going to see the remainder of this week, Zach? We've still got tomorrow. We got the FOMC meeting announcement when the chairman. Earlier, I kept saying Chairman Greenspan. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so old, right? I kept saying that, and it's Papa Powell. But what do we think we're going to hear from him tomorrow in his speech? Beyond that, we've got the ECB, which is basically, their version of the Federal Reserve FOMC meeting. It's going to happen later this week. And we got labor. So what do you think we're going to see the remainder of this week?
Like yesterday we talked about, I think the 25 basis points is kind of already baked in. We'll see. We could be wrong, right? I mean, we're guessing here, but I mean, based on what we've read and kind of what's been said out there by the powers that be, 25 basis points seems to be the direction. I think Powell's going to take a similar stance. He always kind of defers to kind of take it month by month, day by day. We'll see where the data points us, but this is what we had to do right here, right now, today with the 25 basis point hike. So it'll be interesting. I mean, there's always a curveball though, and people hang on every word. There's always one phrase or one sentence that tends to shift the market one direction or another.
Amen. Yeah. So do you think we're going to get a surprise out of the European counterpart meeting, the ECB kind of there on that side of the pond?
In terms of like
their announcement, I mean, it's basically their version of the FOMC meeting. And that's going to be supposed to happen Thursday. The only X factor for me there is the 10% interest rate number we got out of the UK, which was a surprise number. That spooked me a little bit. And I think because even if we get, here's where I'm going with this. Let's say Papa Powell is surprisingly not hawkish, bearish. If the next day we get a bearish sentiment coming out of the UK, or excuse me, out of Europe, that can send us backwards.
100%, because inflation is not just the United States problem right now.
I know.
I mean, it's a global problem, and in fact, as bad as it is in the United States, it's been worse in Europe. So, 100%. And when we're talking about a global market like crypto, all of that data, as Foxy put the data, all of that data impacts the markets.
Yeah, I think that can derail it. I think tomorrow is going to be, unless Powell says something tremendously bearish, which we've watched enough of these. I think he's going to be very guarded. He's going to be very specific about the text he used, tone, all that stuff. But I'm basically considering it to be kind of a non-event, because the United States numbers are not bad. They're kind of in line with expectations. Labor seems to be cooling a little bit, which we got the labor reports, the farm and the unemployment report coming out later this week. To me, the X factor here is Europe, is what comes out of that meeting. And if they dramatically raise their respective interest rates, that's to me the X factor for this week.
Just given the information we have going in, the potential for something bad to come out of that is a little bit higher there.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. That's kind of what, what my concern is for this week. And then final thought here on this subject is we've got then the dialogue and so here's what they're really going to be pushing Powell for. Is this the last interest rate hike? Now we've got the June FOMC meeting set. And I think the indicator is the consensus is probably another 25 basis points there. But that's, I think, what they're also going to be looking at on tomorrow's announcement from Powell is what are you going to do in June? And then what are you going to do in the rest of the year? What's your 2 cents around that?
Right. And I think he's going to be very, very vanilla. He's never once said really like with full conviction that this is going to be the last rate hike or, we're going to cool down after this or after that. I think he's going to be very diligent and just say, we'll know more when we know more and kind of move on.
Yep.
Right.